Higgins is out of the race now. And Dan Martin, for the Irish fans, is a long, long way down. And as you mentioned, Adam, Nicholas Roach is not in the race either. He crashed earlier.
Looks like Cancellara is just slipping towards the back a little bit here. He must be wanting something from the car, because Danilo Weiss here must be trying to get him something. He's been asking for the car for a couple of kilometres now, so he must be in need of something, some information. And as I just said that, if you could hear it or not, there was a big rumble of thunder.
Yep, I wondered what that was. That was the biggest rumble of thunder we have heard. That wasn't us getting hungry after 4 hours of racing. That was the thunder going off. Wow. This is a pretty incredible World Championship. We're just getting confirmation Richie Port's retired. Dan Martin has retired. Chris Horner, Taylor Finney. Cadell Evans is out of the race. And now the mist is coming in across the climbs as well.
Clouds just hugging the top of the climb there. Markus Bergart there from Germany, he's doing a good ride.
He is riding really well, isn't he? I saw him the other day, he was out riding around the course and he seemed to me like he was in really good spirits.
Yeah, he's doing a good ride, but Markus is very good at positioning, which I think if you can do it on this course, it's going to make a big difference. So Mark is obviously showing that you don't need to be a climber to just stay in the front, you just need to be positioned well. And Barkeland's coming back now, so that's the second group just coming back to...
So Bakeland safely back into the group. A few more riders making contact, including number 74, Peter Stettner of the United States of America. It's great to see him riding so well in this race.
And Maxime Montfort there as well.
Look at that. The screen through the murk of the clouds, which are now just hanging on the top of the climb. It's lovely to see Peter Stettner in this race. I know that his father's been ill after a crash, and to see Peter Stettner here and racing, I'm sure he's motivated by something else today. He just wants to be in this bike race, and let's see him finish today. Let's see what he can do. The leading riders then making their way towards the top of the climb.
Now it's going to pick up again the speed, I think, at the front, just to get ready for the descent again. So I think we'll see the pace increase, and the same again as we've done for the past 3 laps now. It's just going to be in pieces again and then come back together, I think.
So we've lost, we haven't lost a rider. A little like Matthias Brandl was starting to hang off the back a little bit. We are getting to the 162-kilometre point of this race. 110 kilometres of racing remaining. Right at the back of the group there is number 12, who's one of the Slovenian riders, hanging right on the back. And that is Polanc of Slovenia. The average speed now 37.1 kilometers an hour. One of the Latvian riders still in here, over there on the right-hand side, and about 125 riders now left in this race by the looks of things. And still the Italians are quite happy now to let the Dutch riders take over the pacemaking for a bit. Is Volkler back by the looks of things for France?
I think he was, yeah, I think he was in there.
Makes his way up on the right-hand side. One of the Latvian riders is over there. That kit now, which is normally a kind of lovely wine-coloured kit, is now so wet it's become pretty much chocolate-coloured.
Yeah, it doesn't look the best, does it? Looks like AG2R shorts. Not saying that there's anything wrong with those, by the way.
So the leading riders, Michele Scarponi Luca Paolini, Diego Lulisi, Maxim Iglinski, Bauke Mollema still riding well. He's up at the front. Gilbert, Burkhardt, Simon Clark of Australia. Ominously, Zednek Stybar is in 14th place. Visconti is in 15th. Nocentini, Kelderman, Van Avermaet, Griffko, Cyril Gauthier is up there as well. Fuglsang still riding well. Peter Wiening is 26th over the top of that climb that time. Fabian Wegman's still there. We haven't mentioned him for a little while.
I don't think there's one Australian up here now, which is disappointing.
Simon Clark is there.
Simon Clark there, sorry.
He's the only rider now of Australia who's in that group, and but he's still there. He's towards the front. The gap now is 1:55. Simon Clark 13th over the top. But a strong Australian team have been lost really by the crash of Evans.
Sadly, yeah. Strange for Cadell to crash like that, because he is a very good descender, so I can only imagine someone's crashed in front of him for him to come down.
Teammate of yours, of course.
Teammate, yeah, rode the Giro in this year to his 3rd place, which was fantastic.
And when you've got a leader like that, how much work are you having to do for him during a day?
It's not so much work as riding on the front, it's just sheltering him from the wind, and if he needs to stop and go to the toilet, we'll have to give him a push or stop with him, help him back on. If it's cold and raining like the Giro was every day, just getting jackets for him quite a lot and things like that. So it's just basically babysitting him, yeah.
And when he gets to that 3rd place, what's it like?
It was nice, yeah. I was too tired to sort of really celebrate it. I just got in the car, went to sleep and got home and went straight to bed, so...
And how long does it take to recover from a Grand Tour?
It depends, really. It depends what you do after it and the racing you got after it, but everyone's different. I mean, I had a bit of time off after it and then started riding again, but you can definitely still feel it in your body.
What, you feel tired?
Yeah, just lethargic. You're always just a bit tired, yeah, worn out.
Right.
You can see how wet it is with the cameraman hanging right back off there. Normally they're really close to the riders, but even he's backing off on this descent.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be really careful on the back of one of these bikes. And even on Radio Tour, we are hearing constant warnings to the vehicles around the riders to please be careful.
Yeah.
Because riders are coming back to the groups all the time, and there's so much spray here. And importantly, you know, we have Radio Tour in our ears, Adam and I, which tells us what's going on a lot of the time. But one of the other important things of Radio Tour is the safety aspect. They're constantly telling the peloton, the vehicles, what is happening and making sure everyone's safe. So their job is kind of a little bit twofold. And also, you know, you mentioned the camera there, they're hanging back through the corners in case a rider falls on the descent, and they're going through the bends they normally go through really fast, leaving a gap just in case. 3 Italian riders now off the front just after that descent, and that's purely just by the speed they've gone down there.
Yeah, I mean, the Italians have really looked at the course here and the weather condition and everything. They know exactly what they've got to do today. They know exactly where they have to be and when they have to be there.
So looking at where we're at now, we've got around about 100 kilometres to go. We're getting close to that point in the race. Right now we've got not many riders left, so if you're in this group, what the next 50 kilometres, what would you be doing to try and win this race?
I think eating, we're seeing a lot of guys eating at the moment, which is important. It's a long race, you need to keep eating and drinking, and to remember to do that when it's raining, it's quite difficult. It's the last thing you want to do, and especially on this course, all you're trying to do really is recover as much as you can, which is very difficult. So to remember to eat and drink and trying to recover at the same time, it's easy to forget about. So I think the guys in that group now are just trying to sit back and save as much energy, are just trying to eat, sit back, not go in the wind at all, and just save as much as you can. Like Cancellara there, we saw before. Gilbert, we've not seen him out of the top 15 for the past 3 laps, and Van Avermaet's just there with him, you know. So guys like that, you can see they're efficient. Sagan, after his cyclocross bike changes, we've not sort of seen him out of the top 15 either, really. So
no, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, that it's a critical point in the race. You can win or lose this race now based on what you do in the next 50k, because then we're really into the race then.
A lot of riders here wheel spinning on the climb as well. It's wet, they're tired, they're leaning forward more over the bike, and they're getting a lot more wheel spin.
So the leading group then, led by the Venezuelan rider who goes over the top of that first little kick, Cordoy, and only 3 riders there at the front, so they've dropped a couple. The Italians again onto the climb. They're not far behind now. At the top of this there'll be 167 kilometres. Looks like the Tunisian rider Chito has had enough. It's time for him to say goodbye to the breakaway, and actually it's not going to be long until they see the race. Kodoy, Barta and Hudzarski are the riders at the front who are setting the tempo, but back here the Italians continue with the driving.
Dave and Colt.
Nibali is definitely in there now. He's starting to show up, but I still haven't seen Pizzato for a little while. We'll try and pick him up on screen. Just those of you who are New Zealand fans, George Bennett's still in here. Alex Howes of the United States is in here as well. So is Amador, the first Costa Rican winner of a stage of the Giro d'Italia. As we look here at the Colombian car coming up, and that is Carlos Alberto Betancourt, who is safely in the group. We're hearing on Radio Tour the advantage around about 2 minutes as the race continues. At the front now, and there's only 2 leaders, so they've lost the rest of the breakaway group, and it is now the 2 NetApp Enduro riders who ride for different countries, Hudzarski and Barta, who are setting the tempo up this climb. Well, it can't be long now until this race starts to come back together. Incredible that still so many fans are by the side of the road cheering on these riders and giving a great atmosphere as these riders make their way to complete 178 kilometers of racing. The average speed 36.92 kilometers an hour, one of the slowest races we've seen, which is not surprising. It's so wet, you can't go down this descent really quickly. Over the top of the climb then, and it is 12 seconds the advantage to Matthias Brandl, 13 seconds, sorry, Godoy at 18 seconds. And then we have the big group of riders continuing their way up this climb. Surprised that Betancourt is still there.
Oh, sorry, he had his back end out again then.
We're seeing riders sliding an awful lot more now.
The rain's still pouring down. I think there'll be oil from the cars, from the team cars as well, obviously. So it is slippy out there, but they all know it's slippy, so I don't think they'll be shocked.
Castroviejo with Alberto Contador just sitting slightly in front of him. Contador is just hiding. We've hardly even mentioned him today.
Yeah, he was on the front earlier, taking Valverde and Rodriguez back up, sorry. Taking Valverde and Rodriguez back up to the front a couple of laps ago. So I think his main priority is just to look after those 2 riders. I think Rodriguez will do a very good ride today if we look at how the race has gone so far.
Also, if you think about the biggest race Rodriguez won last season, which was Lombardia, right at the end of the season,
yeah,
it poured with rain.
Exactly, yeah, so similar conditions.
He came off the top of the final climb of the day, descended down, finished on his own. There was an almighty thunder and lightning storm just at the finish, which was a little bit like half an hour ago here.
Pizzato is still there, sorry Anthony. Pizzato is still there, so I'm not sure what Paolini was doing at the back again. So obviously talking with Bettini, getting a plan of what to do, but as we talked about before, I can't see them going for Pizzato today. I don't think he'll still be there at the end when they really put the foot down on the steep climb.
So thanks, Adam. Pizzato is still in the group. As they went over the top, it was Visconti who led, ahead of John Degenkolb, ahead of Gilbert. Francois Parisien, the Canadian rider, actually is in here. He's been at the front the entire race.
Yeah, he's been doing a very, very good job. Very good job indeed. As you just see Nibali just a bit further back than he was the last couple of laps now. I think we'll see what happens with that. Another Italian at the back there, so
you wonder whether they've done an awful lot of work. It hasn't split up. Maybe they've got rid of a lot of riders. There's now 78 riders left in that main group.
Yeah.
With about with 4 riders off the front, 74 chasing. There were times in this race earlier where we saw 15 to 20 riders left, and suddenly there's been a regroupment. And you wonder whether the Italian plan was to completely split it, get 30 or 40 riders, and then worry about Nibali from there. And it's not quite how they wanted it.
Well, I think you say that, but I think it is exactly how they wanted it. I think it's a small group. The riders that have come back on out of the previous laps, we saw 30 guys or so at the front, and now there's how many did you say? 70?
74 riders in that chasing group.
Yeah, so I think now it's a case of just controlling the riders at the front. I think half of that bunch there we see is just completely knackered. I mean, they've been on and off the back, so they don't have to worry about that. I think they're just, the remaining riders that came back are just trying to look after the teammates.
So on the front then, on the descent, and it's still the Italian riders towards the front. You can see here on the camera following these riders down this descent that how treacherous it is. Just to let you know, at the finish line it's still grey, it's still raining, it hasn't stopped for many hours now. We're approaching 3 o'clock in the afternoon as we get towards the completion of what is 5 hours of racing. 4 hours 55 minutes and 22 seconds have just ticked by on the gantry at the finish line just outside the commentary box that we're in. And as we watch these riders descend, the Italians, you're right, there's only 3 or 4 of them at the front now, whereas previously they were surrounded with the blue of Italy. Gilbert constantly near the front though, riding a very, very clever race, staying out of trouble. He's had nothing to be concerned about yet. Degenkolb sitting on the wheel of Gilbert, and
Valverde trying to push on the front a bit now, so that's interesting. Straight Spain trying to put Italy a bit on the back foot, which is good to see. I mean, they've been riding hard, so I think it would be good if someone could maybe try and launch an attack and really try and put Italy under a bit of pressure.
Valverde's just stopped at the side of the road there.
Might have stopped for a nature break maybe. So changing his bike, I think we heard then on the radio.
Yep, so Valverde stops at the side of the road, and Radio Tour telling us he's stopped.
Oh no.
And
nature break.
Other riders are I've heard that Reichenbach has just changed his bike as well. So on the front of the race then, still the Italians who looked round, they were quite surprised by Valverde making a move and then stopping, but it is still 3 Italians, Gilbert, Degenkolb, also near the front. Here is the 2 leaders, we haven't seen them for a little while. Hudzarski and Barta onto this steeper section of this climb. And last time all sorts of wheel spin going on as they tried to get some sort of traction. And it is John Degenkolb who leads there ahead of Gilbert. And the thunder around here is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is. I thought it was.
The Hoover Dam's power plant uses smart grid technology to Some other retirements. Jack Bauer of New Zealand has retired.
So is Christian Meyer of Canada. Sam Bewley retires as well. Konstantin Switzoff has now retired after that crash earlier on. Navadauskas has gone. Reinhard Jansi van Rensburg, Darrell Impey also has retired. Mario Fischer of Brazil. Frederick Kessiakoff is no longer in the race as well. And the Irish team all gone. Sam Bennett, Matt Bramier, Dan Martin, Nicholas Roach, all finished. I would have thought the Irish would have enjoyed today's weather conditions.
Yeah, you'd have thought so, wouldn't you? Especially as coming from Ireland, yeah, but most of them live in sunny, hot countries.
They moved away from Ireland.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep, no longer here. So all the Irish team are out. And just looking at the British team, there's only one British rider left in this race, and that is Geraint Thomas, who is with Thor Hushoff. So the chances are that Geraint Thomas is a long, long way down. We'll try and update where he is as we look down on Peter Sagan, who has had at least one bike change and is riding strongly in here. The Swedish rider who's just in front of him is just looking, is it Ludvigsson maybe? The Andre Grifko is also there. Thomas Lofquist, sorry, of Sweden is also in this group. So Lofquist is riding well today. He dropped out of the Tour of Britain, but possibly because he was aiming to ride this race and do well in it.
Yeah, I've not seen much of Thomas recently the past few years, but he's definitely been... It's a good course for him, and definitely with his characteristics, this course will suit him. He's a good climber. He can descend quite well, and his sprint isn't too shabby either. So for sure, he'll if he's going good, he'll be one to watch towards the end.
It amazes me how as pros you can let the pace drop back a little bit, and now you've decided, right, it's time to up the tempo. It's time to start to accelerate and bring the breakaway back and start to race again.
Yeah, I mean, the breakaway, it was coming back. They brought it down to a minute earlier, and now they're starting to ride again. But I think they're just giving I think Italy are just giving their Nibali a chance to relax a little bit, take his breath, talk to Bettini, see what he has to say, and then get a plan and just stick to it. Because I don't think they expected this many, so little riders in the race now. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's just to calm things down, relax, get everyone just a bit calmer, because the last couple of laps it was stressful, everyone was fighting to get to the front. So now I think they've just backed it off, had a little bit of a respite, got some food in them, and now I think when the next time through, I think there'll be a couple of attacks up this climb, which will hopefully ignite the race.
But when you think about it, if you as I think
Cancellara just taking his hat off, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting. He's had a cap underneath his helmet all the time, which keep his head warm, but obviously as well lets the rain run down over his glasses and everything. They're all doing it. Lars Petter Nordeg's just done exactly the same.
Yeah.
And that cap, keeps your head warm, doesn't it? Lets the rain run off your face so it doesn't go in your eyes all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
As well. But now it's getting towards the important moment in the race.
Yeah, hopefully we'll start to see some attacks come in soon. I think if a couple of teams want to make it hard, like Italy, I think they're going to have to do more than just ride, because I don't think the riders, the domestics, are getting a bit tired now. So I think a couple of riders are going to have to start attacking if they want to make it harder for Nibali.
So 195 kilometres covered. The two leaders go over the top in 5 hours, 19 minutes and 8 seconds. Now it's the Italians who start to set the tempo again on the front, with Switzerland lining up behind. They've ridden really well in the last hour or so. We're seeing now the Danish riders moving up, and I think it was Fuglsang who just moved up to the front of the race. Fuglsang we've talked about earlier on today as a possible rider who can finish on the podium, because he's very, very strong and he's riding an intelligent race. He moves right up to the front, sitting in the third or fourth row at the front of this peloton. And And as we now wait for them to go over the top,
as we see again, a very, very clever Paolini. Just when he needs to, just comes to the front again. And I'm sure Paolini, now if we look at him, he won't have a bottle, or he'll have just one bottle on his bike. Yeah, one bottle. He's a rider that looks very much into this. He's always got one bottle on his bike, or if it's a downhill, he'll have 2 bottles on his bike. He's
really?
Yeah, very much so. He doesn't want to carry a half a kilo bottle up a climb, so he'll get rid of it for sure.
But he'll take another bottle to give him some weight going downhill.
On a long downhill, yeah, for sure.
See, there's all these little things that we don't know, that people think about. So there's all this still going on in your mind, as to think, right, give me a little bit of an advantage, I guess, over the competition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Paolini is probably one of the best people for that as well. The detail he looks into is incredible.
Looking down then, here we are, there's Cancellara as he puts his hat back on, getting himself ready for action. The Swiss have ridden well today, they're surrounding him. He's not isolated in any way whatsoever.
They're riding very well, and they've still got 4 riders up there.